Are you the invisible song that was playing? To wear a blindfold in the algorithmic state, one must trust that the crowd is closer to a mosh pit than an ocean. One morning, your glass of orange juice is replaced by a beacon of sunlight, and from then on, the square of sadness you carry in your pocket feels heavier. When I was a data point, I posted to a forum a question about the effects of perimenopause, and when the answers came back, I trembled in their presence. My love of the internet was like my love of the city. In each, I wandered underground, smelling of pomegranates and hemorrhoid cream. Yesterday on the subway, I overheard a woman with a voice like a cartoon parrot complaining of her Macy's coworker's purchase of a thong for clubbing. The picture shows just what it is, a sack for your dick and balls. Poetica fondant. I baked a cake in the shape of a moon, and no one could tell what was a cake and what was the moon. When I cut it open, it tasted like overly sweetened watermelon tea and smelled like the shadow of the leaves on a lake. I loved it. But then the bloggers arrived, complaining that my baking was bougie. So I crafted a cake in the shape of my face. It had curly hair, glasses, and an open mouth that could keep talking, even when no one was listening. In my big marble cake nose, I hid my people's struggles, the escape from the pogroms, and the years of overly salty chicken. I loved that cake too, but was ashamed to admit it. I'd read that identity politics was just the cream filling of neoliberalism. So I baked a cake that was messy like New York. I cut it open and rode the subways inside, eating my way through dirty, glistening sidewalks like a hungry Frank O'Hara. But that was the year everyone claimed to be Frank O'Hara, even those numbskulls who hated modern art. So I baked a cake shaped like the internet, and when I cut it open, everyone who tasted it said it tasted just like the internet. And I kept eating it and eating it and eating it in a kind of durational performance until the cake itself was the internet, and I, myself, the somewhat delicious crumbs. This is called How It Started, How It's Going. I was reading a blog trying to find a recipe for lentil stew, but the story about the writer's stepdaughter's missing slipper went on for so long that by the time I arrived at the ingredient list, the building our apartment is in had been sold and resold and sold again. And even worse, our kitchen had been replaced with a digital oven that turned all ingredients into different flavors of miniature muffins. Tofu piccata muffins, charcoal fondue muffins, hillbilly elegy muffins, death metal NFT muffins, raspberry nepo baby marble dildo muffins. One day, I threw a muffin at the moon, and to my surprise, the moon threw a muffin back. I told everyone in my activist Slack feed that this was a new kind of radical action, made more potent by its engagement in celestial intersectionality. Soon we were a whole movement of revolutionary bakers, a federation of militant muffin throwers designed to augment anti-capitalist baking with celestial praxis. Who could have known the muffins had other plans? Okay, I think I'll just read one more of this, and then I'll read a couple newer poems. This is called Outrage Fatigue. A songbird's idea of refusal quavered, gunking up reality with music. The sky adewed the end times with memories of future blood. My appetite or yours, hun, said no one to nothing. Misled by lopsided horse clouds, the window was declared the new expanse. Office parties smelling of last century drifted in and dispersed. Life became a series of toes, recalibrating the atmosphere through boredom and smoke. Still, fear battered the dust mites awake. What used to be my country raptured the horizon's teeth. Ecstatic options sprinkling emotions in the mix, hastening the return of reality as 89.3% dream. So I'll read a couple of this. I've got a new manuscript. It's not finished, it's in progress, but it's a lot of like dead mother poems, so. So a change of pace. Okay. So this is called When My Mother Returns from the Dead, She's No Longer Afraid of Rodents. Look, there's a guinea pig in her purse, a snapshot of a muskrat in her compact. While she waits for me to finish packing, she plants miniature cell phones in the garden so the chipmunks can text her their selfies. On the way to lunch, she hands out business cards to subway rats, joins the buskers, improvising a ballad to chinchillas. My mother, who has been dead and is still dead, is no longer afraid of city or country mice or nuclear bombs or my not having health insurance or open heart surgery or tornadoes. All the fears she harbored in her bones are now just bones. They are buried and stay buried in the most generic cemetery in all South Florida. So when my mother returns from the dead, she is still dead, still my mother. But now the fear that surrounded her, like an aura of angry bees, is gone. She is part mother, part augmented son. But me, I'm still her daughter and still afraid. I hide when the cat races to the mouse hole behind the radiator. I hire caulking experts, and I can still hear her voice calling to me from 40 years ago, reminding me that those squirrels shaking autumn leaves for acorns, watch out, those cute squirrels. They are wild beasts and probably have rabies. Okay, finally, luggage. After she dies, an airplane delivers a suitcase of your mother's lost clothes. When you put her silk caftan on, you can see her dream from the hospital, the one where a winged house floated above the farm where your grandfather tried to raise chickens and failed. When you put her leather jacket on, you see the year of elementary school she spent sick in bed, her little sister bringing her board games and homework. When you wear the black cargo pants, you see the blood-red face of your mother's first husband, the one you never met, who would send you Facebook messages asking why she wouldn't return his calls. When you wear the kittens and mittens socks, you see the full moon on the night she died, the way it climbed into the bed with her to say goodbye to her lungs. The suitcase smells like what you imagine a cloud would smell like if you were a creature of the sky. You hold the suitcase above your head and use it as a makeshift umbrella. You take the suitcase with you to your mom's unveiling and use it as a graveside stool. You take the suitcase with you and stand on it because you were too short to change the kitchen light bulb. When the suitcase is empty, you crawl inside. Thank you.